Introducing Big J's X-Lax. Hello folks, it's Logger John and we're back in the woodshed here for another episode of Woodshed Ramblings with Logger John. It's just going to be a short video today. I hope everybody enjoyed my last video, Logger John's Canada Day special. We had a few good laughs making that. You can hear the thunder. We got a bit of a storm brewing to the south of us here, southeast of us. We had some rain there a few minutes ago. Anyways, we're just going to take a quick look at the deck, a few other little projects that I'm working on, and if we have time we might do a quick run through the garden, check it out. It's doing really well, so we'll see you out by the deck. You can see some storms over there. You hear a little bit of thunder. You can hear the thunder there now. It's a beautiful day. It's hot though. As you go around here you can see a little bit more storms brewing. Kind of to the south of us here, southeast. We could use a lot more rain. I hope everybody had a great Canada Day. And I hope everybody to the south of us, all our friends down there, had a great July the 4th weekend. The US-Canada border is still closed, so our American friends can't make it up to Canada and we can't go down. See the dog, there's a few flies are bugging her. She catches them and eats them. She just finished her supper over there. Anyways, you already saw this part of the deck. You can see where it rained, still wet. Since the last time I was over here, I rebuilt this deck. Well, totally rebuilt it. Tore the old one out. I don't know if you can remember it or not, but there was kind of a small 8x8 deck here. So basically what I did was I joined them together and moved a couple chairs here. And we still got this deck here. I'm eventually going to replace all the boards on this deck. I did replace a few, where is it here? Oh yeah, this one board right here. It had a hole in it right there where it rotted through. And then there was one over there that was rotted through. I replaced those. I used the boards off this deck that was the old deck that was here. I saved a couple boards, and then but I'm going to replace this sometime this year. Actually, I'm thinking the frame underneath the floor joist might be still good. Once I peel this all up, I'll see. I might have to fix a few of them or replace a few of them. This deck here is about 20 years old. The one I replaced right here was about 16 to 18 years old. Actually, when I ripped these boards up, it's the old, what do you call it, the old pressure treated stuff. It was green back then. They don't make it anymore. Actually, when I ripped it up, the underside of these boards were actually still in pretty good shape. So I'm hoping the frame of this, the joists and that are still good. I can maybe, that way I don't have to rebuild the whole thing, but anyways, that's another future project. But right now I'm focused this week on, we're going to start doing something with this. I did check on the siding and they do have a match for this old siding. It actually matches pretty good. I got the sample over here that I got. There's the old siding right there, and there's the, I don't know if you can see it really well, that's the old, that's the new sample there. I'll bring it over here, maybe you can see it better. I was surprised that it's not too bad once you put it on there. So they do have that in stock. So I think I'm going to order that this week, and I'm going to order some lumber. I've been measuring up the lumber today, seeing what I need. So basically I'm going to have a post where the dog is in the corner, post in the center, post here, and then I'm going to tie it into the wall with some beams, figure out my pitch of the roof. It's obviously not going to be like this pitch. That's like a 12-12 pitch, I don't know. But it's going to be like this, a little bit not as steep. Got to figure all that lumber out. I'm just going to use 2x6 for the rafters. That's going to be lots. And then for the beams, 2x10s. But I'm going to get the styrofoam. I'm going to actually cut this siding all the way up. Get rid of all this siding. And then when I get the new siding, I'll just make a double J. Get 2 J's, screw them together, and slide the one side underneath that, the old side, and then this side I can screw it, and it should work out okay. And the J that you get, you can color match it for this siding, so there'll be a seam right there, but it won't stick out too bad actually. So hopefully I have a friend coming to help me sometime. I'm not sure when, but I'm going to get the lumber this week because around this part anyway of the country, a lot of places are running out of lumber. So the guy told me at the lumber yard I should get any lumber I need soon because they're running out of some stuff. There's a few places that are actually out of lumber, believe it or not. So I'm kind of, I wasn't planning on doing this till later on in the season, but at least I'm going to get the lumber and try to store it somewhere if I don't use it right away. So that's the plan. And another thing, I'm not really sure. Initially I was going to buy some 6x6 pressure treated posts, 3 of them. And then maybe later on, once the thing is built, I was going to just put one here in the corner and the other corner. Don't really need them here. The beam will be tied into the wall right there. I'm going to use, I'm going to get some special, what do you call them, joist hangers, and tie them into the wall. And plus your one set of rafters will be tied into the wall too, so that'll be strong enough. But getting back to the post, a lot of guys now, like the posts that you buy, the 6x6, there's no other way to put it, but they're pretty crappy. They split, they twist. So what some guys are doing is making their own post. They're using, so you take 3 2x6 spruce. I mean, you could use pressure treated, but I'll probably use spruce, and then you so 3 of them will give you 4.5 inches because they're 1.5 inches each. So then you make up the difference by putting some plywood in there and gluing plywood in between, so you end up with 5.5 inches roughly by 5.5, which would that's what a 6x6 would be if you bought one. And then they won't twist, and you can clad them with either aluminum, or I think I would go with, I forget what they call it now, it's like Mavex, I think they call it. Mavex is like a Mavex siding. You can get the board, so you would clad all 4 sides. It's kind of expensive, but it looks really nice. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. I just don't like the 6x6 pressure treated. They look nice for a while, but any ones I've saw, like I say, they've cracked and split. And speaking of cracking and splitting, this pressure treated wood, it's called 5/4. It's for decking. You can see it over here. Very, very frustrating doing these two decks. It's pretty much crap, the wood that they sell now. I had to deal with so many cracked boards and knots missing and cupped, and actually the boards were actually pretty straight. They weren't really warped, any of them, but just a crappy wood. Like basically I need about 19 boards to go across here. So what you got to do is you got to buy about 25 to 30 boards so you can get 20 good boards, and then take the other 10 back or whatever. It's kind of sad. Basically, the guy told me at the lumberyard that they can't get the wood out fast enough, and basically they put it through the process. Whatever they put on it, they kind of dip it through this process to put the treatment on it. And he said the boards are still dripping wet when they load them on the truck. They're in such a high demand right now, trying to get lumber out. That's why people are running out. But it's very, very frustrating, the lumber. I mean, this looks okay, but I'm telling you, it was quite a process getting nice lumber. And this board over here, it's a 2x12 that I put under the door. I decided to, when you walk out the door, normally you have a step down, but I couldn't really do that here because the deck ended up, I didn't want the deck to go down any farther, otherwise it would be in the dirt. So I didn't want the wood touching the dirt. Anyways, so I made the door so you just walk right out like it used to be. But I ended up putting this 2x12. This is the second one I put in here. I had to replace it yesterday. It was fine when I put it in, and I screwed it down all nice, and then I caulked it. There was a crack starting in it, and then after a few days the crack was getting bigger, and then the crack was coming from the other end. So yesterday it was almost cracked all the way, and I had to replace it. I just happened to have another 2x12, so it's kind of sad that the wood is such crappy. It's so crappy. So hopefully this one doesn't split. So this is my project. The dog's not much help right now. So hopefully we'll get some video of when we're building this and doing the work on the side here. So the plan is to tie my joist or my beams in, my ridge pole beam in, be probably like right there, and then another. I'm going to use 2x10 for the beams, and then 2x6, like I said, for the trusses, the rafters. And I'm going to have to get some styrofoam, 1.5 inch styrofoam, cloud it, and then I got to get something to protect these wires. There's some wires here that I had to leave. I did put some this stuff on them, but I didn't have enough, so I'm going to have to get some more, because it's kind of a bummer when you hit a nail, or you hit a wire with a nail or a screw. So anyways, that's my project. Another thing, when you buy this stuff and you're using it, don't forget to use the they call it in-cut. It's a liquid, I'm not sure what's in it, but so when you cut your boards, if you do cut one, you're supposed to paint this in-cut on them. Some guys don't do it. You can see down here on the end of these 2x8s. So every cut I did them, it's supposed to help seal it up, and it's supposed to help them from cracking. Here's a pretty neat tool too that I used when I installed the 5/4 boards. It works quite well. I'm not sure what you call it, but it's made for, it's kind of hard to show without actually, but you have your floor joist going across right here where the screws are. So when you're putting your boards in and you have a bit of a warp in one, sometimes they don't go together. So I put my boards tight together. Years ago you used to have years ago we used to put a screw in between to make a little bit of a gap, but now we put all the boards tight because they shrink anyways. But this tool, like, so you put it on your joist on your next board out here, and you basically can crank on it. You put this thing here against your board that you're putting in, and you just pry it over where you're screwing. Like I say, it's kind of hard to show without actually doing it, but it works really well. You can just crank the board over and get it tight before you screw it. So yeah, I just borrowed that thing from work. It's not my own, and I don't even know what to call it. I don't even know where it came from, but it works quite well. Just take a quick look at the garden. I think it's been a few weeks since I showed you the garden, maybe. So we'll just here have a quick look. I think this cherry tomato grows about 6 inches a day. There's a few tomatoes, you can't really see them, but there's a few little guys right here starting. It's a cherry tomato. Of course we have all our beets, they're really coming good here. And the carrots, of course. Everything's growing good down there. If anybody wants any lettuce, just come get some lettuce. We can only eat so much, so we got some red stuff here. And we had some chives the other night, and potato salad, they were good. And then I'll just take a quick look at these guys. Look at these potatoes. These really perked up after we had that rain there the other night. We had a really nice rain, but it also came with a pretty violent storm. High winds and lots of thunder and lightning. Look at these tomatoes. There's some little tomatoes coming on them. I have to see what kind they are here. I forget what, Better Boy I think they're called. I'll zoom in there and see. I think they're called Better Boy. Anyways, there's 4 plants here gone crazy. Got my turnips. And then you got some beans. You got some beans down here. I just thought of the name of these things. They're radishes. I couldn't think of the name of them. So we put some radishes in. I just planted them. But 2 days later they were up. So I don't really like radishes, but my wife seems to like them. So, and all these potatoes. It's crazy. And the beans, should be having beans pretty soon. Anyways, that's just a quick update on the garden. And we'll head back over here. I got one more thing to show you before we head back to the woodshed. Really bad for deer flies this year and sweat flies. Anyways, gotta tell you this story. The other night, last week I think it was, probably a week ago. I think it was like a week ago. I had a load of lumber in the truck here. Some deck boards, I just picked them up. I just came home. Had about 25 boards on here, 14 footers. And it had rained a little bit. It was raining a little, or it started raining, and I was sitting on the deck underneath the shelter. And it had rained. You could hear some distant thunder, like way off there, but wasn't too bad. It rained, and for about 15 minutes I sat out there, and then the rain stopped, and you could hear a bit of thunder off that way. Wasn't too bad. Matter of fact, the sun was poking through a little bit, so I decided I was going to come over here and start unloading the lumber. And I came over here, was standing here untying the rope, and all I remember was this huge crack of thunder, and the whole air just lit up with a bright flash. It was really, really close. I don't know if it hit, like, it seemed to hit like right here somewhere. I couldn't see where it hit anywhere, but Needless to say, I had to go back in the house and change my underwear. And my daughter, she had been sitting there, but she had just went inside like a few minutes before. So this just goes to show that the storm was far away. It seemed like it was pretty far away, but like they say, lightning can go for many miles. And that was really, really close. It just shook the house. You could see the flash, like the whole, just everything lit up, and at the same second, just this god-awful crash of thunder. But I thought maybe it hit that tree or something, but or maybe the antenna, but didn't see any damage. So that's just a story to remind you that just because you hear distant thunder, you think the storm's far away, but you better be careful. Okay guys, I'm back in the woodshed here, and I hope you enjoyed that little bit of a quick update on the deck and a really quick tour of the garden. Like I said, we're going to try to get some footage of a little bit of building when I do it for the porch, and so that's a wrap. If anybody have any questions or comments, they can leave them in the comments down below, and I promise we're going to do another longer woodshed ramble, hoping to still do a topic on, or a discussion on tractor pulls. Look forward to doing that. And we got flies in here. I don't know how bad the flies are at your place, your guys' places, but they're really bad here. We call them sweat flies, deer flies, whatever, and the mosquitoes. They're really bad this year. If you try to go for a walk or a bike ride, it's just like really bad. And it doesn't matter what you spray on yourself, this doesn't seem to work. Anyways, so that's my question too for the week, I guess. How bad are the flies at your place? Mosquitoes or black flies? I guess the black flies are pretty much done. Mosquitoes are still around, and the sweat flies or deer flies. So anyways, thanks a lot guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks a lot.